Do something, you will do it. And you're just sitting conviction. And you wonder why God cost you people. Useless black people. You don't know what justice means. You have no idea what justice means. You don't know what justice means. Useless black African people. You don't know the meaning of justice. Your constitution says you cannot try anybody unless the law is written. Show me the written law. Show me the written law. I want to know the written law. Talk to me now. Show me the written law. Are you okay? Don't go close. Don't try that rubbish. Don't try it. Don't try it. Go ahead and say don't try that rubbish. Don't try that rubbish. Useless people. You don't know law. You don't know law. Your own constitution you don't respect. Supreme Court judgment you don't respect. Then why are we in the court of law? Why are we in the court of law, I ask? Nonsense. You think Britain can ask you to jail me and you will jail me? You are dreaming. You are dreaming. I'm telling you that you are dreaming. Nonsense.
In today's top news, Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, stormed out of court in anger after Justice Omotosho of the Federal High Court made a decision that didn't sit well with him. The court was set to proceed with his trial for alleged terrorism charges. But Kanu, known for his fearless stance on Biafra's independence, felt that the charges against him were invalid. According to Kanu, the laws under which he's being charged were repealed. He has refused to open his defense in court, citing that he was charged under laws that no longer existed. Justice Omotosho had earlier warned Kanu that if he did not begin his defense, the court would proceed to judgment without him. He also made it clear that this was the last opportunity Kanu would have to present his case. But Kanu stood firm, saying that the charges against him had no legal ground. He argued that his rights were being trampled on and that he should not be put on trial for laws that had been repealed. He even went as far as saying that he was misled into pleading guilty to a charge that was never legitimate. This drama played out in the courtroom as Kanu, after making his stance clear, stormed out in protest. It was clear that he was angry at how the case was being handled. For him, this wasn't just a legal battle, it was a battle for his freedom, a fight for the future of IPOB, and ultimately for the right to have his voice heard. His exit from the courtroom made waves, not only in the legal community but also across the nation, as people weighed in on whether Kanu's refusal to defend himself was a sign of defiance or a strategic move to highlight the flaws in the legal process. The charges Kanu faces are serious. They range from terrorism to inciting violence, and the government's stance is clear. Kanu's actions and those of IPOB are seen as a threat to Nigeria's unity. Kanu and his supporters, however, argue that what they are fighting for is a fairer and more just system, one that addresses the issues of marginalization and disenfranchisement that many people in the Southeast feel. Kanu's actions in court represent more than just defiance. They symbolize the larger struggle of many in the region who feel disconnected from the rest of the country. For them, this trial isn't just about one man, it's about their hopes for an independent state of Biafra. And every time Kanu takes a stand, it reverberates through the communities that support him. His refusal to comply with the court's demands is seen as a powerful symbol of resistance, a way to say that he will not be silenced. But what happens next? Well, the court has now set a date for judgment, November the 20th, 2025. That's when the judge will decide whether Kanu will be convicted or acquitted. If Kanu is found guilty, it could send a strong message to separatist groups across Nigeria. But if he's acquitted, it could raise questions about the legal framework under which he was tried and potentially even expose flaws in the government's approach to dealing with movements like IPOB. As the date for judgment approaches, there will be more eyes on the case. The trial has sparked discussions all over the country. Many Nigerians are asking whether the trial has been fair, whether Kanu has had a fair opportunity to defend himself, and whether the charges against him are truly valid. It's not just a case about one man, but about the state of the nation, the treatment of ethnic minorities, and the future of Nigeria. Now, there's a broader question that we have to consider. What does this case say about Nigeria's judicial system? Kanu's case has been marked by delays, changes in the legal team, and repeated adjournments. This has led to a lot of frustration. It raises the issue of whether the justice system is really working as it should, or whether it's just being used as a tool to suppress voices of dissent. And how many more Nigerians feel that they're fighting the system in the same way? Beyond the courtroom, there's also the matter of public opinion. Kanu's supporters are in the millions, and they're watching every step of this case with bated breath. They see him as a martyr for their cause. To them, his imprisonment is symbolic of the larger struggles that the Southeast faces. On the other hand, there are many Nigerians who feel that Kanu's actions are a threat to the unity of the country. They see him as a man who has chosen to go down a dangerous path, one that could lead to further division. In the larger political landscape, Kanu's case also fits into the broader narrative of Nigeria's fight against insurgency, extremism, and calls for regional autonomy. There's no doubt that what happens in this case will influence the future of Nigerian politics. If Kanu is convicted, it may set a precedent for how separatist movements are dealt with in the future. If he's acquitted, it could embolden groups who are pushing for independence or greater autonomy for their regions. The public discourse surrounding the trial is just as important as the trial itself. Kanu's supporters are vocal, organizing protests and raising awareness about his case, while his detractors argue that he is undermining Nigeria's unity. This case has become a flashpoint for larger debates about Nigeria's future, about the role of the judiciary, and about what it means to be Nigerian. And as we get closer to the judgment date, expect more debates, more protests, and more attention from both domestic and international communities. As the judgment date approaches, there's a growing sense of anticipation. People are not just waiting for a verdict, they are waiting for what it could mean for Nigeria. It's not just about one man and his case, it's about how the country's future will unfold. If the court rules against Kanu, will it quiet the call for secession and regional autonomy, or will it fuel even more resistance and division? Let's not forget that this case is not happening in a vacuum. It's happening at a time when Nigeria's political landscape is already tense. Issues like unemployment, corruption, and the handling of the economy are still top concerns for Nigerians. So when we look at Kanu and his refusal to comply with the legal system, it's not just a legal issue, it's a reflection of the deep dissatisfaction that many Nigerians feel with how things are being run. Kanu has been able to channel this frustration into his cause, and his stance, though divisive, resonates with millions who feel like they have been ignored by the government for too long. And what about the implications for the future? If Kanu wins, it could signal a shift in how secessionist movements are treated. Could this be a win for freedom of expression, for regional autonomy? Or could it open a Pandora's box, emboldening others to take similar paths? On the flip side, a conviction could strengthen the central government's hand in dealing with separatist movements across the country. It might set a legal precedent for how such cases will be handled in the future. It's not just the political players who are watching this case closely. International observers are keeping an eye on how the Nigerian government handles Kanu's trial, as it could be seen as a test of how well the country's democracy and rule of law are functioning. After all, Nigeria has long struggled with the issue of balancing national unity with the rights of its diverse groups. This trial, and the judgment that follows, could serve as an important moment for the future of Nigeria's democracy. The public's reaction will also be crucial. People are already speaking out, on both sides. Kanu's supporters, especially those in the Southeast, are watching this case as if it's the final fight for their cause. They see Kanu as a leader who is standing up for their rights, and they believe that if he wins, it will show that they too deserve a voice in how Nigeria is governed. On the other side, you have people who feel that Kanu's actions are a direct threat to the unity of Nigeria. For them, this trial represents more than just Kanu. It represents a threat to the peaceful coexistence of all the country's diverse groups. And then there's the question of how the case will impact the Biafra movement itself. If Kanu is convicted, will the movement lose momentum, or will it push for even greater resistance? Will more people rally to the cause, or will they see the trial as a sign that the system is rigged against them? If Kanu is acquitted, however, it could have the opposite effect. It could embolden IPOB and other similar groups who feel they've been marginalized, potentially leading to a more open confrontation between separatist movements and the central government. At this point, the trial has become a lightning rod for broader issues in Nigerian society. It raises questions not just about one man's guilt or innocence, but about the fairness of the legal system, the treatment of minority groups, and the way the country is moving forward. Kanu's case is symbolic of much larger systemic issues that are deeply embedded in Nigeria's political and social fabric. His trial may be the flashpoint for a national conversation about what Nigeria stands for and how it handles its differences. In the coming days, as we inch closer to November 20th, the pressure will mount on both sides. And it's not just about what happens in the courtroom. It's about how the public reacts, how the political elite responds, and how the country moves forward. Regardless of the outcome, one thing is clear. This trial has sparked a fire that may be hard to put out. The consequences of the decision will reverberate through Nigerian society for years to come. And how people react will shape the future of the country. So, with all eyes on this case, we must keep our ears open, stay informed, and understand that this trial is about much more than just the legal process. It's about Nigeria's identity, its future, and its struggle for justice, equality, and unity. Now, before I wrap up, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you believe that Kanu is right in refusing to defend himself in court? Is this an act of defiance or a strategic move to bring attention to his cause? What do you think will happen when the judgment is handed down? Will it bring an end to the Biafra movement or ignite it further? I'm curious to hear what you think, so drop your comments below. If you're enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this developing story. Let's keep the conversation going. I'll be back soon with more analysis and updates. Stay tuned, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged.